Hey, welcome back everyone to the Midtown View. My name is Jim Wenk, and today I got a very, very special guest with me, Nkrumah Pierre. Welcome, Nkrumah.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Otherwise known as the Master Connector. And you can look him up on LinkedIn as the Master Connector. That is your brand. Do you have that tattooed somewhere?
No tattoo, but I do have a license plate.
You do have a license plate. I knew that.
Yep.
Connector.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
So welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you, man.
So, Nkrumah, we met, a couple years ago in our town, Garden City, with our families at an event. And then we've crossed paths a few times, and now through some real good mutual connections, we're starting to connect some dots and trying to see where we could do business. But would love for you to tell our viewers who is Nkrumah Pierre, and a little about your background and kind of what you do, and we'd just love for you to share.
For sure. So I think the common theme between our friendship has been golf. I'm not that good, I will say. I know Jim's probably pretty good. I think he has a single-digit handicap. But we met at the Garden City Country Club. I think it was like July 4th on the actual course, because it was open for families. And then the next time I saw you was at another country club in town. In the locker room, I was with another guy from Garden City, and I'm like, Jim, what are you doing here? He's like, I joined this club too. I'm like, oh, must be nice. But Jim, every time I've met him, has been a consummate professional, super humble executive, and just kind, right? And when I think of corporate America, when I think about my business, the people who I do business with, I've, thank goodness, elevated to the level where I am today, where I can choose the people I do business with. And three things that really stick out. I do business with those that I trust, like, and respect. And my dad, had a $20 million construction business, which put us all through college, got us all our first pieces of real estate. Ironic, we're at Savills, a real estate firm. And real estate in my family is fairly large because my mom was a mortgage processor at Chase and other big banks. My dad is in the general contracting business. And then my first job on Park Avenue at 350 Park, right down the street, was at M&T Bank doing commercial real estate finance. So it's very serendipitous that we're here. But Nkrumah, who's Nkrumah? Nkrumah is a connector. Nkrumah is a person who likes to add value. Nkrumah is a person who gives first and asks second. And I'll say that again, someone who gives first and asks second. And the reason I say that and emphasize that is because in the game of networking, from what I've seen, from my vantage point, a lot of folks come out of the gate with their hands out, asking or trying to get ahead or trying to take advantage or manipulate. And that's most people, right? That's not Jim, that's not myself, because we wouldn't be here. But what I'll tell you is that those who are takers, they might get ahead in the short term, but if you extrapolate 5, 10, 15 years later, I'm telling you, the guys and girls who are sitting in their cushy offices here on Park Avenue, the majority of the people who have gotten to the top are not takers, but givers.
And they're givers. They're always giving and providing value to their, first and foremost, their clients and customers, but two, their partners, their coworkers, all the team members that really help them do what they do best to ultimately service clients. Right. I mean, in the world of business, that's what it's all about. Nkrumah, take us through a little bit. You started in the mortgage processing at M&T Bank, and you were probably doing tactical type, day-to-day work, but you've evolved into, an incredible relationship developer. And, they're not, I think one thing that makes you different is people know right away that it's no BS with you. It is 100% genuine. You want to understand who people are, what people do, and if there is a way to help them. Sure. And so how did that did that come natural? Did you learn that from mentors? Was it just like family upbringing? Like how did the confluence of factors come together to make you kind of do what you do really well?
Thank you. So I appreciate the kind words, and happy to share. So started off doing commercial real estate finance, structured finance at M&T Bank, and I got let go in 2008. Of course, the credit crunch hit, right? But I also wasn't that good. I tell people that openly. I'm not proud of that, right? But it's the truth. And I got let go in 08, got a package. But I'll tell you, one thing that always sticks out is that I'll never forget. So Sam Giarusso, who was at that time the regional president of commercial real estate finance at M&T Bank, lived in Long Island guy. And I'll never forget it. Sam was he is still alive. He is a savant when it comes to relationship management, and then clearly he has the chops for commercial real estate finance. But I'll never forget, Sam had pinged me and said, "Hey, Nkrumah, I have this nonprofit that I sit on the board for. Can you help out?" My first answer was immediately yes, right? Like, I didn't even think about it because I had the head guy asking me for a favor. As a young analyst, of course the answer is yes, right? Which, by the way, Gen Zs today do not think that way. But that's another conversation for another podcast. Anyway, so I said yes. And that opportunity, I got to meet Sam's wife, his kids. I went to the gala. He gave me a shout out, right? Our relationship skyrocketed, it catapulted to the next level because I said yes, right? Again, giving, right? Giving my time. I'm a junior guy. I had a lot of time, right? 1. 2, Sam then invites me on his boat, right? I come from a boating family. My dad is a boater as well. So we go to Fire Island, from South Shore of Long Island to Fire Island. My boss had never been on Sam's boat. My boss's boss had never been on Sam's boat. But me, the young guy who's been there for 9 months, is on Sam's boat, right? So early on, I realized I had this uncanny ability, I call it my superpower, for connecting with high-level executives authentically, right? Not kissing anyone's butt, right? Not bending over backwards per se, but being authentic, being myself.
Yes.
And that resonated with Sam, and he respected that. So I left in 08, right? Not because I wanted to, I was asked to. And then I had to figure it out. So back to real estate, my dad, being a developer, had built 3 buildings in Harlem. One was on 116th Street and 2 sister buildings on 115th between 7th and 8th Avenue. And I'll never forget. So we actually purchased a duplex in that building, my dad and I and my mom, right? Because they helped all of us with our first piece of real estate, which I plan to do for my 2 kids. Real estate is at the mecca of generational wealth, in my opinion, and hopefully it's Savills, you guys agree. And I'll never forget, we were actually looking at, this is kind of funny and interesting, at M&T Bank on 115th Street, where my building was being constructed by my dad. I had one of our clients who was a piece of work, and we're doing a walkthrough, right? And he bought all these affordable housing units on 115th Street. And we did the walkthrough. The building, the units were awful. Like, they were just really bad. We did the walkthrough, and then we're coming out, and he's like, "Oh, and we have this beautiful construction across the street. You see how great this block is?" I'm like, "I actually bought a duplex in there." He's like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "Okay." Little did he know my dad was building that property. But my point is, you can't judge a book by its cover. And at that point in time, what I knew was that real estate is how people build wealth, 1, and then 2, being on the side of finance at M&T Bank, I got to learn the ins and outs of financing properties. Fast forward, I fell into executive recruiting, did that for about 8-9 years here in the city. And then I started my own outsourcing business development consultancy, which is how I got into the accounting field.
Okay. So why don't we, because I don't think you mentioned it yet, your current position.
Yes, of course.
And I don't know if you label it as head of marketing. Like, I know you're a partner, but partner, sure. Head of business development for PKF O'Connor Davies, or
so,
I'll let you
yeah,
take
sure.
it.
You can add more titles. It's fine. No, so I'm a partner, an equity partner at PKF O'Connor Davies, and I'm a business development partner, which is super unique because you think about professional services, law firms, right? You cannot work at a law firm as a partner without having your JD, right? You can't own a law firm without a JD and passing the bar. in professional services, accounting specifically, CPA firms, you couldn't be a partner without being a CPA. But what they've done is they bifurcated advisory and attest, which is audit. And now with the advisory side, you think about like Accenture, McKinsey, right? These consulting firms, they have partners, right? So they applied that same thing to accounting. So on the advisory side of accounting, you can be a partner, right? So that was the ability.
Without a CPA.
Without a CPA,
Right.
yes. So that afforded me the ability to make partner. PKF O'Connor Davies, super entrepreneurial, middle market, top 25 accounting firm, headquartered out of Harrison, with the second largest office here at 245 Park Avenue, right down the street. But I am a business development partner. My job, purely, I don't do accounting, I don't do tax, I don't do audit. If I did, we'd be in trouble. I promise you that. But what I'm fairly good at is connecting the dots. So my job is bringing in new logos, new relationships, and also deepening current relationships, providing tax, audit, outsourced CFO, outsourced IT, valuations, forensic accounting, litigation support, transaction advisory. So we do quite a bit within the M&A stratosphere. So family offices, it's funny, we had a family office breakfast this morning. We do work with a lot of private equity funds, hedge funds, and venture funds. And again, what I do is I bring together these executives in this world. So hopefully, one, they can network with one another.
Yes.
And then as you know, if you bring together enough great people, what I say is, do good things for good people, great things happen, right? Do good things for good people, great things happen. So that's my MO. And I continue to do that authentically. Some people say, do you get tired, or do you ever think you'll run out of connections? No, because I'm constantly adding to the funnel, right? If I stopped adding to the funnel, sure, I'd run out, but I don't stop. And then what happens is, when you're doing enough good work for good people and great things happen, they introduce you to their friends, right? So I have friends in Garden City I want to introduce Jim to, and vice versa, right? And then it's like, okay, well, we went to this event and you mentioned, oh, okay, you have a client at this nonprofit or this private equity fund, and your CFO knew my buddy Dev, right? And then we had that connectivity at dinner, so.
Yes, well, I have to say, what is absolutely remarkable is that you keep track of all of these different relationships, who people are, what they do, what sector they're in, what type of people they would benefit from meeting. And you are constantly putting together small events, bigger events, networking opportunities. And it's not just in the city of New York.
Right.
You're doing it in, you were just in Arizona, you were just in Florida, you're going to Florida Monday. So you're doing this all over, nationally.
Yeah. So to your point, yes. So there's always a funny saying, follow the money, right? I say follow the connectivity. So I just made that up on the fly. Kind of like that. Follow the connectivity, right? So Scottsdale, I went to Waste Management, not just the garbage company, but Waste Management is the sponsor of this huge PGA event out in Scottsdale, Arizona. So again, a friend invited me out. He's also a client, and we had a great time. And out there, other friends and buddies of mine were there, right? So we connected, and then I said, okay, well, I need to come back next year. So my CEO said, hey, yes, let's get behind it. You thought it was a good use of your time. We can entertain. Let's do it. Great. And then I have a really good mentor. I went to Lafayette College. Shameless plug. Love Lafayette. So it's funny, I was the president of the alumni chapter of Lafayette when I was at M&T. And we had our first ever female president, President Byerly. And I got to introduce her at one of the clubs here in the city. And I got, on the microphone in front of 400 people, introduced her. Then afterwards, since I didn't completely embarrass myself or my college, they invited me up to dinner. And we went to dinner, one of the fancy restaurants in the club. And I sat next to a gentleman. I won't mention his name because, being respectful and confidential, but he became my mentor. He also became my client, and he lives in Sarasota, right? He's also a former board of trustee at Lafayette. And he lives in Sarasota. And everywhere I go now, everyone keeps saying, Sarasota, Sarasota, Naples, Sarasota, Sarasota, Naples. I'm like, I keep hearing this. I need to do something in that area, right? So one of our partners that I was in Philadelphia with was like, yeah, I live in Naples. I'm like, if I hear Naples one more time. So I'm like, all right, I need to do something in Naples. He's like, yeah, come out, come down, play golf. So my buddy from Lafayette, I told him what I was doing. He's like, oh, definitely come down. Let's play golf, and I'll take you to golf. I'm like, all right. Don't, twist my elbow. So we're actually going to be playing golf in Sarasota the night before. I'm doing a cocktail event in Sarasota. And how did I find the people? I just went on trusty LinkedIn, typed in Sarasota, right? I have 30,000 contacts, so I'm going to get a hit. And then of those people, when I typed in Sarasota, I had like 30 hits. I sent each one of them a note and said, hey, hope all is well. Haven't spoken to you in a while. I'm doing a cocktail event in Sarasota. They're like, 50% of the people responded, and then half of those people said yes. So I sent that note out. Half of them responded. Half of them said yes. So now I have 15 people who said yes.
And typically, if you said you had 15 that said yes,
15 said yes.
So out of 15 that say yes, typically what percentage will actually attend?
Great question. It depends on the market, right? So remember, first time ever going to Sarasota. So I have no idea what to expect. And honestly, my partners are cool if 5 people showed up. And if my mentor and my client show up, we're fine, right? We'll just have a dinner instead of cocktails, right? But in New York City, my hit ratio is way better. So in New York City, I'll have 30% not show, 70 will show up. In Sarasota, it might be 50%, might be 40, I have no idea.
Right.
When I did my event in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago, we had 90% show up. But again, it was only 20 people at that event, right? So it was fine, 18 showed up. But then I did an event in New York City, the coldest day of the winter, and we actually had 130% show up. We actually had more people, which was weird because everyone brought a friend. That doesn't usually happen, and we blew through the open bar in 15 minutes, so that was tough. But it was cool to have 120 people at an event that I expected to only have 85.
Right. So when you're developing these relationships, friendships, and a lot comes out of it. There's a lot of peer-to-peer networking, but ultimately, as it relates to generating or enhancing client, interactions with PKF.
Yes.
Ultimately, the prospective clients, they're going to end up doing work with other partners at your firm.
Absolutely.
The specialist for whatever they may need.
Yep.
And ultimately, we know how the psychology of business works is they're going to be predisposed to want to do business with PKF because they like and trust you.
Right.
You're a incredible representation of the type of professionals at that firm, and you obviously have very you have excellent specialists in-house handling a variety of different disciplines, right, under tax and advisory. So that's incredible, and just the sheer magnitude of people connections, genuine connections, in your sphere is staggering. And I just have to say, it is not just commendable. It is, it's almost stresses me out to even think how you can manage that many relationships. But you do it, and with incredible, I don't want to say not just grace, but you do it with such energy. And your energy and enthusiasm is contagious. So it's very cool. So look, I know we have a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. and in fact, I'm telling all of our guests, ideally when we do a rerun, I want to do it in your office because you have a beautiful office down the street.
Thank you.
But which we're kind of closing up these conversations. I have this little crystal ball, and this is what we ask is for your predictions, on really your business outlook, but just your overall sentiment. How are you feeling business-wise? Anything else you want to share your light on? We'd love to know.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. First off, thank you for having me. Thank you to Jim, to Savills. I just appreciate the time. So really quickly, I'm going to put the crystal ball down. But I have a little bit of a cheat code because I had a breakfast with about 20 family office executives this morning, and I was actually a fly on the wall listening to some of their predictions and outlooks on the market. So I'll kind of piggyback on that and give kind of my assessment as well. This is not Chat GPT. This is Chat NKP, I promise. So really quickly, one of my guests said he's really nervous and concerned, not only politically, not only domestically about our politics, but also international politics. Those things give him grief, and he's super nervous about the future. I sat with a private equity executive, another Lafayette guy, in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago, and he said to me, Nkrumah, in the short term, like the next 6 months, as an investor, I'm cool. No worries, we're gonna all make money. 1 year from now, I'm super nervous with regard to what's gonna happen to the capital markets, with regard to tariffs, right? With regard to potential World War III. And he said that uncertainty gives him angst. Now, Chat NKP speaking, I think, of course, AI, everyone's speaking about AI, and me included, I need to become more familiar, kind of tongue in cheek with the whole Chat GPT thing, but I'm not savvy enough with Chat GPT. I'm not using it enough, right? So my wife, told me about it. She told me she has an account. We also have a corporate account. So I need to leverage Chat GPT more, not to do my job, but to do my job more efficiently. So like when I want to send out a thank you email after one of my events, right? I could actually leverage Chat GPT. I don't. I sit there and write every word, but I'm like, if I threw that into Chat GPT, it could populate something pretty cool, right? If I want to get a quick LinkedIn post, and it's funny, the LinkedIn app allows you to type something and then Chat GPT can improve it.
Yes.
I don't leverage that, to be honest, enough, but I could. But anyway, I say all that to say, if you're not using AI today in our jobs, I know we're business development sales executives, but if you're not using it to make yourself more efficient at your job, you'll either, one, lose your job, which would be the worst case scenario, but two, maybe not get promoted as quickly as your peers who are leveraging the technology. And then last thing, talking about real estate, again, I've been out of the real estate game for a while. Another thing that gives just me, not anxiety, but just I'm a little bit, I'm very concerned, is just the home market, the housing market for individuals, seeing where we live, right? Knowing what's going on with interest rates, knowing what's going on with inflation and stagflation. It scares me when I see, listen, as an owner, I'm happy to see values of homes go up. That's a beautiful thing, it's cool. But like, when I think of my friends who aren't as lucky to get in at the 3% interest rate and are looking to buy homes today, their dollar doesn't go as far, right? So they're not able to move into some of the neighborhoods they want to move in or even buy the home that they want. So a lot of them are settling, and even despite interest rates being high and housing prices still going up, people are still coming in with all cash and paying over ask, right? So it's like, it almost like boggles my mind, like how much longer can this continue? So again, my crystal ball is if you're not leveraging AI, you will fall behind. My other crystal ball is we need to pay special attention to the political dynamic here domestically, but do not take your eye off the ball internationally. And then lastly, just from a business standpoint, being authentic and being genuine is at the core of business. I think it's going to mean even more as we walk through the current climate where federal employees are losing jobs and things of that nature are happening. So we have to be true to ourselves and keep these relationships and friendships, maintain them, pour love and time into them, because this is all we got.
Nkrumah, amazing.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome. Can't thank you enough. I appreciate you. You're a friend.
Yes.
And you're not only a friend, you're a community member, business associate.
Thank you.
And someone we all can learn from. And just can't thank you enough for taking the time out to be with us. That's awesome.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Everyone, that concludes today's episode of the Midtown View. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.